It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that wealth equals happiness. But what if I told you that the pursuit of wealth is actually making you feel emptier inside? What if I told you the secret to unlocking real financial freedom and peace of mind isn't in how much you have, but in how you think? That's what we're diving into today. How to break free from the cycle of materialism and build a life that truly satisfies you. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving deep into some life-changing insights that could help you take control of both your personal and financial life. We all have certain habits, some we don't even realize, that keep us stuck in a cycle of dissatisfaction. These habits often revolve around misconceptions like associating wealth with happiness or living to please others. And while these habits might seem harmless, they can quietly undermine both your financial stability and your peace of mind. So, what can we do about it? With the guidance of Stoicism, we can completely shift our mindset and gain control over our lives. Today we'll be looking at 10 key habits to stop if you want to achieve not only financial success, but also overall fulfillment. Each of these lessons comes with practical applications from Stoic philosophy, teaching us how to focus on what truly matters and let go of the things that don't. Ready to make better decisions that bring you both financial freedom and peace of mind. Let's get started. Stop associating wealth with happiness. In today's world, many of us mistakenly believe that money and material wealth are the keys to happiness. We're constantly bombarded by social media influencers showcasing their luxurious lifestyles or advertisements telling us that buying more will make us happier. But here's the catch. This mindset leads to an endless path of craving stress and dissatisfaction. Stoic philosophy offers a powerful counter to this belief. It reminds us that true happiness doesn't come from external wealth, it comes from within. Seneca, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This quote is so powerful because it highlights the real cause of unhappiness. It's not the lack of wealth, but the insatiable desire for more. Think about it. When you're always striving for more money, a bigger house or a fancier car, you'll never truly feel satisfied. No matter how much you accumulate, there will always be something else you want. This creates an endless cycle of dissatisfaction. And despite all your financial success, you may still feel like you're not enough. Let's consider a simple example. You've worked hard to buy your dream car. For the first few weeks, you feel on top of the world driving it, showing it off to friends and feeling the excitement of owning something new. But as time passes, that initial thrill fades. Soon, the car becomes just another part of your daily routine, and you find yourself wanting something even better, a newer model or an upgrade with more features. This is the trap of associating wealth with happiness. The more you have, the more you want, and true satisfaction remains out of reach. The Stoics believed that instead of focusing on accumulating material wealth, we should focus on cultivating our inner virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. These virtues are within our control, unlike money which can come and go. And these virtues are what truly lead to fulfillment. They help us navigate life's ups and downs with grace and confidence. By focusing on building these inner qualities, we can find a lasting sense of peace and contentment, no matter what our financial situation looks like. Now let's dive deeper into the Stoic belief that true happiness comes not from what we have, but from who we are and how we navigate life's challenges. As we continue on this journey, it's crucial to understand that Stoicism teaches us to shift our attention from what we lack to what truly matters. Life is uncertain, and no matter how much you accumulate, everything could be taken away in a moment. Whether it's through an economic downturn, unexpected medical bills, or a natural disaster, we can lose our wealth at any time. If your happiness is rooted in your financial status, these events could devastate you. However, if your happiness is tied to your character and your ability to face life's challenges with wisdom and courage, nothing, no external event, can take that away from you. This is why Stoics emphasize the importance of building inner wealth rather than relying on external riches. Imagine someone you know, or perhaps someone you've heard about, who seems to have it all money, status, success, but is still deeply unhappy. Despite possessing everything material that most people could dream of, they may feel unfulfilled, anxious, or constantly searching for something more. This is because external wealth can never fill an internal void. True happiness, as the Stoics teach us, comes from within. It's built through cultivating a strong sense of purpose, meaningful relationships, and a commitment to personal growth. On the flip side, think of someone who may not have much in terms of material wealth, but lives a rich and fulfilling life. This person is likely focused on what truly matters, living with integrity, treating others with kindness, and finding joy in the simple things. They understand that happiness isn't about accumulating wealth. It's about how you spend your time, how you connect with others, and how you contribute to the world. They know that it's the little things, the moments spent with loved ones, the quiet moments of reflection, that truly define a meaningful life. The Stoics would advise us to practice gratitude as a way to counter the ever-growing desire for more. By taking time each day to reflect on what we already have, our health, our loved ones, and the simple pleasures in life, we can cultivate a sense of contentment. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you're less likely to feel dissatisfied with what you don't have. Gratitude shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance, helping us to appreciate the present moment and all the good that is already in our lives. Stoicism also encourages us to redefine what success truly means. Instead of measuring success by financial wealth or social status, we should measure it by how well we live in accordance with our values. Are we kind to others? Are we growing as individuals? Are we making decisions that align with our principles? These are the true markers of success, and they are available to everyone, regardless of their financial situation. Success isn't about how much you own, but how well you live, how well you align your actions with your deepest values. In conclusion, stop associating wealth with happiness. While money can certainly provide comfort and security, it is not the source of lasting fulfillment. The Stoics teach us that happiness comes from living in alignment with our values, focusing on personal growth, and appreciating what we already have. By shifting your mindset from craving more wealth to cultivating virtue, you will find that true happiness is not something you need to chase. It's something you can experience right now. Now let's dive deeper into one of the most empowering principles of Stoicism, taking full responsibility for our lives. Decisions are the forces that ultimately shape our lives. We can easily fall into the trap of blaming others for our problems, especially when it feels like the easier option. We've all heard statements like, "It's not my fault, or "If only I had more support, or "The system is rigged against me." While there may be some truth to these thoughts, fixating on them doesn't improve your situation. In fact, it only keeps you stuck in a cycle of helplessness. Stoicism teaches us to break free from this cycle by focusing on what we can control: our actions, our attitudes, and our efforts. Imagine you're in a difficult financial situation. Maybe you're struggling with debt or not earning as much as you'd like. It's tempting to blame external factors like the economy, your boss, or the high cost of living. But here's the thing. While these factors may contribute to your struggles, blaming them won't change anything. In fact, it might make things worse by making you feel more helpless. When you blame others, you give up your power to make changes and take action. Stoicism encourages us to reclaim that power by focusing on what we can control and what we can do right now to improve our situation. For instance, if you find yourself stuck in a low-paying job, blaming the job market or your employer won't increase your income. Instead, the Stoic approach would be to ask yourself, what can I do to improve my skills? How can I increase my value in the job market? What steps can I take to create new opportunities? This shift in perspective, focusing on what you can control, empowers you to take action. Whether it means learning new skills, networking, or exploring new career paths, this mindset helps you move forward. By focusing on personal responsibility, you shift from a victim mentality to one of empowerment. Rather than waiting for external factors to change, you realize that you are the author of your own life. While you may not be able to control every situation, you always have control over how you react, how you adapt, and how you move forward. Now let's consider another example. Debt. It's all too easy to blame high interest rates, unexpected expenses, or even the financial system for being in debt. While these factors may contribute, blaming them won't reduce your debt or improve your financial health. The Stoics would encourage you to take full responsibility for your financial decisions. Ask yourself, how did I get here? What can I do to change it? Maybe it's time to create a strict budget, cut unnecessary expenses, or seek professional financial advice. By taking responsibility, you take control of the situation, which is the first step toward improving it. Stoicism also teaches us that taking responsibility doesn't mean ignoring external challenges. It's important to acknowledge the difficulties you face, whether they come from the economy, your background, or other external forces. However, instead of dwelling on these challenges, Stoicism asks us to focus on what we can do to overcome them. This doesn't mean pretending everything is within your control, but rather recognizing that your reactions and actions are always within your control. Think of personal responsibility as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Every time you face a setback or a challenge and choose to respond with action instead of blame, you are building that muscle. Over time, you'll find that you become more resilient, more adaptable, and more in control of your life. Continuing from where we left off, remember how we explored the power of personal responsibility. Now let's dive into another transformative Stoic principle. Stop living to please others. One of the biggest financial and emotional traps we often fall into is the habit of living to please others. Whether it's buying things to impress friends, keeping up with the latest trends, or making life decisions based on what others expect from us, this habit can be not just financially draining, but mentally and emotionally exhausting as well. We often find ourselves chasing after approval and validation from the people around us, but Stoicism reminds us that true happiness and fulfillment come from living in alignment with our own values, not someone else's. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This quote encapsulates the essence of living authentically. Too often we waste time worrying about what others think of us, and we allow those concerns to influence our choices. The reality is, when we live to please others, we sacrifice our own well-being, our goals, and even our financial health. Instead of following our own path, we get stuck in a cycle of spending money and time trying to maintain an image or lifestyle that isn't truly ours. Let's take an example. Imagine you decide to buy a new car. Not because you need it, but because you feel the pressure to keep up with your peers or impress your social circle. For a while, you might enjoy the attention and admiration that come with your new purchase. But as time goes on, the financial burden of maintaining that car, whether it's monthly payments, insurance, or upkeep, starts to weigh you down. You begin to realize that you made a decision based on someone else's expectations, not your own needs or values. This is a classic example of living for others rather than living for yourself. Stoicism encourages us to focus on internal validation rather than seeking approval from others. When you stop living to please others, you free yourself from the constant pressure to keep up appearances. This shift in mindset allows you to make financial decisions based on your own values and goals. Instead of buying things you don't need just to impress people, you begin investing in what truly matters. Whether that's saving for the future, investing in personal growth, or spending time on experiences that bring you joy, you start making decisions that align with your true desires. Living to please others often leads to financial stress because it forces us to spend money on things that don't match our real priorities. Whether it's purchasing the latest fashion, upgrading to a bigger house, or going on lavish vacations, these choices can lead to debt and financial insecurity if they aren't aligned with our core values. The Stoics remind us that true wealth comes from living simply and in harmony with our own needs, not from accumulating possessions to impress others. Think about it. How often have you made a purchase, gone on a trip, or even pursued a career path because you felt it was what others expected of you? Maybe it was your family, friends, or society telling you that success looks a certain way and you felt compelled to follow that script. But what happens when you follow that path only to realize it doesn't bring you happiness? You end up feeling unfulfilled, stressed, and trapped in a life that doesn't reflect your true desires. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and that includes our choices and values. You can't control what others think of you, and trying to live up to their expectations will only lead to frustration and unhappiness. Instead, the Stoics encourage us to find the courage to live life on our own terms, guided by our own principles, not by the judgments of others. Continuing from our last section where we explored the importance of living authentically, let's now turn our attention to another powerful Stoic principle, the idea of moderation and how it can transform both your financial and personal life. Instead of focusing on dissatisfaction, the Stoics encourage us to focus on living authentically. Ask yourself, what do I truly value? What kind of life do I want to live? When you make decisions based on your own values, you'll find that not only are you more financially stable, but you're also more at peace with yourself. The Stoic way is about aligning your actions with your values, which ultimately leads to a more fulfilling and balanced life. One of the most important lessons from Stoic philosophy is the idea of moderation. In a world that often encourages excess, whether it's in spending, working, or socializing. Stoicism reminds us that happiness comes from balance. You don't need to live an extravagant lifestyle to be happy. In fact, some of the most content people live simple lives focused on the things that truly matter, like relationships, personal growth, and health. When you stop trying to please others, you free up not only mental space, but also financial resources, allowing you to focus on these important areas. Let's consider a real-world example. Imagine someone who has a high-paying job but only took it because it's what their family or society expected of them. They might have the money and the status, but deep down, they feel unfulfilled. They spend their earnings on things they don't really want or need just to maintain an image. Over time, this leads to stress, financial strain, and a lack of personal satisfaction. On the other hand, imagine someone who chooses a career they truly love, even if it's not as prestigious or as well paid. They might earn less, but they're happier because they're living according to their own values, not someone else's. This person feels more aligned with their purpose and experiences greater peace, even though they may not have the material wealth that others do. In conclusion, stop living to please others. Financial freedom and personal fulfillment come from making choices that align with your own values, not from trying to meet the expectations of others. When you stop seeking approval from the outside world, you'll find that you make better financial decisions, experience less stress, and live a more authentic life. As the Stoics teach us, true wealth isn't about what you have, it's about how you live. Continuing from our previous discussion on living authentically and making decisions that align with our values, let's now explore another powerful Stoic lesson: stop avoiding risks. The Stoics teach us that growth and success often come with discomfort, whether it's facing failure, rejection, or uncertainty. These are all part of the process of achieving something meaningful. Avoiding risks means avoiding the possibility of achieving great things. The key is to take calculated risks, ones that align with your values and goals, while accepting that discomfort is a natural part of the journey. Avoiding financial risks, for example, can limit your long-term growth. Imagine this: you're afraid to invest because you fear losing money. While this fear is completely understandable, it could mean missing out on the potential for significant financial gains in the future. The Stoic perspective encourages us to recognize that while we can't control every outcome, we can control our preparation and mindset. If you approach risk with wisdom, educating yourself, planning carefully, and preparing for possible setbacks, you increase your chances of success. By taking a thoughtful, strategic approach, you turn the risk into an opportunity. The Stoics also teach us the concept of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This practice involves imagining the worst-case scenarios that could happen if we take a risk. By mentally preparing ourselves for these challenges, we reduce their emotional impact when they actually occur. Instead of being paralyzed by fear, we face them with a clear and rational mind. Let's say you're considering starting your own business, but are afraid of failure. Instead of letting that fear hold you back, you can use premeditatio malorum to envision the possible setbacks you might face. Maybe you won't make a profit in the first year, or perhaps you'll struggle to find clients. Once you've identified these risks, you can develop strategies to mitigate them, such as setting aside savings or creating a strong marketing plan. This Stoic approach doesn't eliminate risk, but it helps you face it with confidence and preparedness. Another key Stoic principle is focusing on what's within your control. You can't control every outcome, but you can control your effort, your preparation, and your response to challenges. By taking risks in a thoughtful and strategic way, you're not recklessly jumping into the unknown. You're making informed decisions that align with your long-term goals. This shift in mindset transforms how you approach risk, making it feel less overwhelming and more like an opportunity for growth. Avoiding risks in your personal life can also hinder your relationships and emotional well-being. Whether it's taking a chance on a new friendship, pursuing a romantic relationship, or expressing your true feelings, avoiding emotional risks can lead to loneliness and unfulfilled potential. The Stoics encourage us to embrace vulnerability and take emotional risks, understanding that discomfort and uncertainty are part of forming deep and meaningful connections. In conclusion, stop avoiding risks. Personal growth, financial success, and emotional fulfillment all require stepping outside of your comfort zone and embracing challenges with courage. Stoic philosophy teaches us that while risks come with the potential for failure, they also come with the potential for great rewards. By approaching risk with preparation, wisdom, and the understanding that discomfort is part of the process, you open yourself up to new opportunities and greater success. Building on our previous discussion about taking risks and embracing challenges, let's now turn our focus to an equally important aspect of life: managing your finances. Stoic philosophy teaches us that our power lies in what we can control, and one of the most impactful areas to apply this principle is in how we handle our money. One of the most common yet damaging habits people develop is ignoring their finances. Whether it's due to anxiety, a lack of knowledge, or simply not wanting to face the reality of their financial situation, avoiding your finances can lead to long-term consequences that only make things worse. Stoic philosophy teaches us to take responsibility for all aspects of our lives, and that includes our financial well-being. As Epictetus wisely said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This quote highlights that wealth is less about how much you earn or own and more about how well you manage what you have. Ignoring your finances often leads to unnecessary spending, accumulating debt, and heightened stress. In contrast, when you take control of your financial situation, even modest earnings can go a long way in building a stable and fulfilling life. For example, many people have the habit of avoiding their bank account or credit card statements simply because they are afraid of what they'll see. They know they are spending too much, but are reluctant to face the numbers. The problem is, by ignoring the issue, it only grows worse. Late fees, mounting debt, and financial stress become harder to tackle the longer they go unaddressed. The Stoic approach encourages us to confront our challenges head-on, even if they are uncomfortable, because this is the only way to resolve them and move forward. A practical way to embrace a Stoic approach to managing finances is through mindful spending. The Stoics valued self-discipline and moderation, and these principles can be directly applied to how we handle money. Instead of spending impulsively on things that don't align with your values or long-term goals, Stoicism encourages us to reflect on whether each purchase serves a purpose. Ask yourself, do I really need this? Does it bring me closer to my financial goals, or is it just a fleeting desire? By developing this level of self-discipline, you not only save money, but also cultivate a sense of control and peace over your financial life. The more intentional you are with your spending, the less likely you are to fall into debt or financial stress. This doesn't mean depriving yourself of all pleasures. It's about being mindful and deliberate about where your money goes. Seneca also taught the importance of preparing for financial setbacks. Life is unpredictable, and by managing your finances responsibly and building an emergency fund, you create a buffer for yourself in case of unexpected expenses. Stoics encourage us to expect that things won't always go as planned and to prepare accordingly. This mindset, known as premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, helps you approach financial planning with wisdom and foresight, reducing the emotional impact when things go wrong. Ignoring your finances can also lead to missed opportunities for growth. For example, if you avoid learning about investing or budgeting, you might miss out on chances to build wealth over time. The Stoic principle of continuous improvement encourages us to learn and grow in all areas of life, including financial literacy. Taking the time to educate yourself about managing money, whether it's learning how to budget, invest, or save, can lead to long-term benefits that contribute to your overall sense of security and freedom. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine someone who earns a decent income but consistently avoids managing their finances. They spend without keeping track of where their money goes, often putting purchases on credit cards without thinking about the long-term consequences. Over time, this can lead to significant financial strain. On the other hand, someone who takes the time to understand their income, create a budget, and invest wisely will likely experience greater financial security and less stress. Continuing from our discussion on taking control of your finances, let's now focus on another crucial aspect of living a fulfilling life: the importance of personal development. Just as managing money requires responsibility, so does our growth as individuals. The consequences of neglecting your finances can accumulate over time, leading to debt and stress that grow harder to manage. Eventually, someone who avoids facing their financial reality may find themselves overwhelmed by their obligations, unsure of how to dig themselves out of the financial hole they've created. Contrast this with someone who takes a proactive Stoic approach to their finances. Even if their income is modest, they carefully track their spending, create a budget, and live within their means. They prioritize saving and building an emergency fund, and they actively seek opportunities to learn about investing and growing their wealth. This person isn't living in fear of their financial situation, they are in control of it. They have peace of mind because they know exactly where their money is going and how it's working for them. One of the biggest hurdles in taking control of your finances is overcoming fear. Many people avoid managing their money because they're afraid of what they'll discover. Perhaps they fear realizing they've been living beyond their means, or they don't know where to start. Stoicism teaches us to face our fears with courage and rationality. The longer you avoid your finances, the more power you give to your fears. However, by taking small, manageable steps toward understanding and managing your money, you can regain control. As the Stoics would say, the only way to overcome a challenge is to face it head-on. In conclusion, stop ignoring your finances. Financial management is a key aspect of living a well-rounded and responsible life. By taking control of your finances through mindful spending, preparing for setbacks, and continuously educating yourself, you can build a more secure and fulfilling future. Remember, your financial situation doesn't improve by avoiding it. It improves by confronting it with discipline, responsibility, and a stoic mindset. Now let's shift our focus to another critical aspect of a well-lived life: personal development. In a world that moves at a fast pace, it's easy to get caught up in the daily grind, working to pay bills, handling responsibilities, and chasing external achievements, while completely overlooking the importance of continuous self-improvement. Personal development is at the heart of Stoic philosophy, and without it, we risk stagnation both mentally and emotionally. Stoicism teaches that personal growth is the foundation of a meaningful and fulfilling life. As Epictetus famously said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This quote highlights the idea that personal growth requires stepping outside our comfort zones, even if it means making mistakes or feeling uncomfortable. The pursuit of self-development isn't always easy or glamorous, but it's essential for living a life of virtue and wisdom. Continuing from our previous discussion about the importance of financial responsibility and personal growth, let's now focus on an equally essential aspect of living a fulfilling life: the mastery of oneself. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true freedom comes from the ability to control our own actions, desires, and impulses. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In other words, true freedom comes from the ability to control your own actions, desires, and impulses. Personal development is about cultivating this kind of mastery over your emotions, your thoughts, and your behaviors, so that you can live with greater intention and purpose. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine someone who neglects their personal growth by constantly putting off learning new skills or improving their knowledge. They might tell themselves they're too busy or that they'll get to it someday. Over time, this neglect leads to a lack of advancement in their career, personal life, and financial situation. They begin to feel stuck because they haven't taken the steps necessary to grow and evolve. This stagnation leaves them feeling unfulfilled and frustrated. Now imagine someone who makes personal development a priority. They carve out time each day or week to focus on learning, whether through reading, attending workshops, or practicing new skills. They are committed to continuous improvement, and as a result, they experience growth in all areas of their life. They advance in their careers, build stronger relationships, and feel a deeper sense of fulfillment because they are constantly working to become a better version of themselves. The Stoics also believed in the importance of reflection as part of personal development. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on his actions and thoughts, analyzing where he could improve. This kind of self-reflection is critical for growth. By regularly assessing your progress, identifying areas where you've fallen short and making adjustments, you ensure that you're always moving forward. Reflection allows you to learn from your mistakes and continuously refine your approach to life. Neglecting personal development isn't just about missing out on opportunities for growth. It can also lead to negative consequences. Without continuous self-improvement, we risk becoming complacent, falling into bad habits, or losing sight of our goals. The Stoics remind us that life is short, and we shouldn't waste it by remaining stagnant. Instead, we should strive to make the most of every moment by actively working on becoming better, whether emotionally, intellectually, or spiritually. In a financial context, personal development can have a direct impact on your earning potential and financial success. By continuously improving your skills and knowledge, you position yourself to take advantage of new opportunities. Whether it's advancing in your career, starting a business, or making smarter investment decisions, developing yourself ensures you're better equipped to thrive. On the other hand, neglecting this aspect of your life can lead to missed opportunities and a lack of progress. For example, if you're in a profession that's rapidly evolving, such as technology or finance, failing to keep up with new developments and trends can leave you behind. However, someone who actively seeks out learning opportunities and stays updated on industry changes will be better positioned to thrive in their career and increase their earning potential. By investing in your personal growth, you not only increase your value in the workplace, but also position yourself for long-term financial success. In conclusion, stop neglecting personal development. Continuous growth is essential for living a fulfilling and successful life, both financially and personally. The Stoics teach us that self-discipline, reflection, and constant improvement are the keys to unlocking our potential and achieving a life of virtue. Don't fall into the trap of complacency, embrace the lifelong journey of self-improvement, and live a life full of purpose, growth, and success. Building on our previous discussion about the importance of personal development and self-discipline, let's now turn our attention to another critical aspect of financial and personal well-being: living within your means. In Stoic philosophy, the control we have over our desires and spending is directly linked to our happiness and peace of mind. One of the most common financial pitfalls people fall into is spending more than they earn. It's a habit that can lead to stress, debt, and financial insecurity, often without the person even realizing how deep the problem has become. Stoicism teaches us to live with simplicity and self-control, emphasizing that happiness doesn't come from external possessions, but from living a life aligned with virtue and reason. In this sense, controlling your spending and living within your means is a direct application of Stoic wisdom. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This quote gets to the heart of the problem with overspending. It's not necessarily about how much money you make, it's about how much you desire and how well you manage your resources. Many people, even those with high incomes, find themselves in financial trouble because they spend recklessly, constantly chasing the next big purchase, the newest gadget, or a lifestyle that stretches beyond their financial capabilities. Imagine someone who consistently overspends on things they don't truly need: expensive clothes, luxury vacations, or a bigger home than they can comfortably afford. On the surface, it may seem like they're living well, enjoying the fruits of their labor. But beneath that exterior, they may be struggling with credit card debt, high interest loans, and the stress that comes from living paycheck to paycheck. This is the hidden burden of living beyond your means, and it can trap even the most financially successful individuals in a cycle of stress and anxiety. The Stoic approach to money is rooted in self-discipline and a focus on what truly matters. Epictetus taught that we should distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. While the desire for material possessions may be influenced by external factors like advertising, social pressure, or societal expectations, our decision to live simply and spend wisely is fully within our control. The more we exercise discipline over our spending, the more freedom we gain in our financial life. Let's look at an example of someone who lives within their means. They may not have the latest car or designer clothes, but they have financial peace of mind. They don't spend impulsively. Instead, they carefully budget their income to ensure that their expenses never exceed what they earn. This person isn't weighed down by debt or financial stress, allowing them to focus on other important aspects of life, such as personal growth, relationships, and enjoying meaningful experiences. The Stoic concept of moderation plays a key role in this approach. Living within your means doesn't mean depriving yourself of all pleasures or never spending money on things you enjoy. Instead, it's about finding balance. Are your purchases aligned with your values? Do they bring you lasting fulfillment, or are they driven by fleeting desires? By practicing moderation, you can enjoy the things that truly matter without falling into the trap of overspending. One of the biggest dangers of spending beyond your means is the impact it has on your long-term financial health. When you rely on credit cards or loans to finance a lifestyle that exceeds your income, you're essentially borrowing against your future. The interest on debt compounds over time, making it harder to pay off, and the financial stress can have ripple effects on your mental and emotional well-being. Now consider how much more secure and peaceful your life could be if you lived within your means. You wouldn't be constantly worried about bills or debt collectors. Instead, you would have the freedom to focus on what truly matters: your health, your relationships, and your growth. By making conscious financial decisions aligned with your values, you not only gain peace of mind, but also create the space to build a more fulfilling and balanced life. In conclusion, stop spending beyond your means. Financial stability comes from living simply, practicing self-discipline, and making intentional choices with your money. By embracing Stoic wisdom and focusing on what you truly value, you can experience the freedom that comes from financial independence and peace of mind. Continuing from our discussion about financial discipline, let's now explore another crucial aspect of Stoic philosophy, the practice of gratitude, and how embracing change can drive personal growth and fulfillment. To save for the future, invest in your goals, and handle unexpected expenses without fear. This kind of financial freedom doesn't come from making more money. It comes from making wiser decisions with the money you already have. This is where the Stoic mindset really shines. By focusing on what you already have and appreciating the simple pleasures in life, you reduce the urge to spend money on unnecessary things. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the value of simplicity and finding joy in what's essential. When you adopt this perspective, you begin to see that happiness doesn't come from having more. It comes from valuing what you already have. Think about your current financial habits. Are there areas where you're overspending? Are there purchases you regret or expenses you could cut back on? By applying Stoic principles, you can start to make more conscious decisions about where your money goes. It's not about living a life of deprivation. It's about living with intention, where your spending aligns with your values and long-term goals. In conclusion, stop spending beyond your means. Financial stability and peace of mind come from living within your financial limits, not from constantly chasing more. The Stoics teach us that true happiness and fulfillment come from self-discipline, moderation, and gratitude, not from material wealth. By taking control of your spending and aligning it with your values, you can free yourself from the stress of debt and live a more secure and meaningful life. Now let's shift gears and explore another vital aspect of Stoic philosophy: embracing change. Change is an inevitable part of life, yet many of us spend an incredible amount of energy resisting it. Whether it's due to fear, uncertainty, or comfort in routine, resisting change often leads to missed opportunities, stagnation, and frustration. Stoicism teaches us to embrace change, recognizing that life is in constant flux and that resisting it only causes unnecessary suffering. Instead of fearing change, the Stoics encourage us to see it as an opportunity for growth and adaptation. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom yourself to consider that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change." This quote encapsulates the Stoic view that change is not only natural, but essential for the functioning of the universe. Everything from the seasons to our own lives is in a state of flux, and by resisting this, we set ourselves up for frustration and disappointment. Let's take a financial example. Perhaps you've been in the same job for years, but you're unhappy and unfulfilled. Deep down, you know it's time to move on. Whether that means finding a new job, starting a business, or pursuing a different career path. But the fear of the unknown or the comfort of your current routine keeps you stuck in place. You resist change because it feels safer to stay where you are, even if it's not where you want to be. The Stoics would advise you to reframe your perspective on change. Instead of seeing it as a threat view, it is a chance to grow and evolve. Every change, no matter how challenging, brings with it new opportunities and possibilities. By embracing change, you open yourself up to new experiences, new skills, and new ways of thinking that can enrich your life and propel you toward your goals. One of the reasons people resist change is because they focus too much on what they're losing and not enough on what they stand to gain. When you fixate on the comfort of the familiar, it's easy to overlook the potential benefits of change, whether that's a better job, improved relationships, or personal growth. Seneca reminds us that every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. This quote speaks to the idea that with every ending comes the possibility of a fresh start. Change is the gateway to new beginnings, and by welcoming it, we allow ourselves to evolve into the people we're meant to be. In conclusion, stop resisting change. Change is a natural part of life, and by embracing it with a Stoic mindset, you can turn challenges into opportunities. Growth, both personal and financial, comes from the willingness to adapt and evolve. As we embrace this principle of Stoicism, we're not only preparing ourselves to face life's uncertainties with resilience, but also positioning ourselves for greater success and fulfillment. Continuing from the previous section, building a secure financial future is not just about making money, but about how you decide to spend and invest in your goals. The key to true financial freedom doesn't come from making more money. It comes from making wiser decisions with the money you already have. This is a crucial aspect of the Stoic mindset, the practice of gratitude. By focusing on what you already have and appreciating the simple pleasures in life, you reduce the urge to spend money on unnecessary things. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often reflected on the value of simplicity and finding joy in what is essential. When you adopt this perspective, you realize that happiness doesn't come from having more. It comes from valuing what you already have. Take a moment to think about your current financial habits. Are there areas where you are overspending? Are there purchases you regret or expenses you could cut back on? By applying Stoic principles, you can begin to make more conscious decisions about where your money goes. It's not about living a life of deprivation, but about living a life of intention where your spending aligns with your values and long-term goals. Remember, the key is to live within your means. Financial stability and peace of mind come from living within your financial limits, not from constantly chasing after more. Stoics teach us that true happiness and fulfillment come from self-discipline, moderation, and gratitude, not from material wealth. By taking control of your spending and aligning it with your values, you can free yourself from the stress of debt and live a more secure, meaningful life. Another important aspect that you might find essential is change. Change is an inevitable part of life, yet many of us spend an incredible amount of energy resisting it. Whether it's due to fear, uncertainty, or comfort in routine, resisting change often leads to missed opportunities, stagnation, and frustration. Stoicism teaches us to embrace change, recognizing that life is in constant flux and that resisting it only causes unnecessary suffering. Instead of fearing change, Stoics encourage us to view it as an opportunity for growth and adaptation. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change. From here, you can begin to change your perspective and actions." As we continue from the previous section, it's essential to recognize that change is not something we should fear. In fact, it's often in embracing change that we find the opportunity to enrich our lives, enhance our skills, and push ourselves toward our goals. The problem arises when we fixate too much on what we might lose and overlook what we stand to gain. The comfort of the familiar can be a trap, making it difficult to see the potential benefits of change, whether that's a better job, improved relationships, or personal growth. Seneca reminds us, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. This quote speaks to the truth that with every new chapter, we leave behind something that no longer serves us, and in doing so, we open ourselves up to greater possibilities. When we resist change, especially in our financial lives, the consequences can be serious. For example, if you're afraid to invest in new opportunities or adapt to shifting market conditions, you may miss out on potential gains or fail to protect your wealth. Similarly, if you refuse to update your skills or learn new ones, you risk falling behind in an ever-evolving job market. The Stoics teach us that while change is inevitable, our response to it is what truly matters. We can choose to face change with wisdom and preparation, making the best of every situation. One Stoic practice that can help you embrace change is premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves imagining the potential challenges or setbacks that could arise from a change and preparing yourself mentally and emotionally to face them. By considering the worst-case scenarios, you reduce the fear and anxiety that often accompany change, and you are better equipped to handle whatever comes your way. Let's say you're considering moving to a new city for a job opportunity. The idea of leaving behind your current life might be overwhelming, and you might worry about whether the move will be worth it. By practicing premeditatio malorum, you can imagine the challenges you might face, adjusting to a new environment, making new friends, or dealing with the logistics of relocation. Once you've mentally prepared for these possibilities, they seem less daunting, and you can approach the change with greater confidence and clarity. The Stoics also remind us to focus on what's within our control. While we can't always control the changes that happen around us, we can control how we respond to them. This is where our true power lies, not in preventing change, but in adapting to it with grace and wisdom. By cultivating a mindset of flexibility and openness, we can navigate life's changes more effectively and use them to our advantage. Another essential part of embracing change is understanding that growth often comes from discomfort. Whether it's starting a new job, entering a new relationship, or moving to a new city, change often brings discomfort because it pushes us out of our familiar routines. But it's in these moments of discomfort that we grow the most. Epictetus taught that difficulties are what show men's character. When we face challenges head-on and adapt to new circumstances, we become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. In a broader sense, resisting change can limit our ability to experience life fully. By clinging to what's familiar, we close ourselves off from new experiences, perspectives, and opportunities that could enrich our lives. The Stoics encourage us to live fully in the present moment, embracing the changes that come our way as part of the natural flow of life. When you stop resisting change and start embracing it, you open yourself up to a world of possibilities that you may have never considered. In conclusion, stop resisting change. Change is a natural and inevitable part of life, and the more we resist it, the more we suffer. The Stoics teach us that by embracing change with courage, wisdom, and openness, we can turn challenges into opportunities for growth, ultimately leading us to live fuller, more meaningful lives. Now that we've explored the Stoic perspective on change, let's move forward and discuss how we can continue to develop our inner strength using Stoic principles to face life's most difficult moments with resilience. As we reflect on embracing change, we now turn our attention to another critical Stoic principle, the danger of comparing ourselves to others. It's an all too common habit that not only damages our emotional well-being, but also our financial health. Whether it's seeing friends who seem to have more colleagues with better jobs, or even strangers on social media flaunting their luxurious lifestyles, comparison is a trap. It's an easy path to feeling inadequate and unhappy, but the Stoics offer us a different way to approach this. Stoicism teaches us that true contentment comes from focusing on our own lives and values, not measuring ourselves against others. Epictetus emphasized this principle when he said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." This reminds us that living well isn't about following the crowd. It's about staying true to our own beliefs and values, regardless of what others are doing. When we compare ourselves to others, we lose sight of our own unique journey. We begin to chase goals that may not even align with our true values, distracted by external measures of success, rather than focusing on our personal growth and fulfillment. Let's consider an example. Imagine you're working hard in your career, yet every time you log onto social media, you see someone else landing a promotion, buying a new home, or taking an expensive vacation. It's easy to start feeling like you're falling behind, or that you're not as successful as your peers. But this type of comparison only breeds dissatisfaction. The truth is, you don't know the full story behind someone else's life. Perhaps they're struggling in ways that aren't visible, or maybe they've made different sacrifices that you wouldn't want to make. Stoicism encourages us to focus on what's within our control, our actions, decisions, and mindset. When you compare yourself to others, you're focusing on things outside of your control. You can't control what others achieve or how they live their lives. What you can control is how you respond to your own circumstances. By redirecting your energy towards improving yourself rather than competing with others, you'll find a greater sense of peace and satisfaction. An essential aspect of Stoicism is the idea of indifference to external outcomes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote highlights the Stoic belief that true happiness does not come from external achievements, but from mastering your own mind and emotions. When you let go of the need to compare yourself to others, you free yourself from the constant cycle of striving for external validation. Instead, you can focus on living according to your values, which brings a deeper sense of fulfillment. Comparing yourself to others financially can also lead to poor decisions. Many fall into the trap of keeping up with the Joneses, spending money on things they don't need just to appear as successful as those around them. This could mean buying a bigger house, driving a more expensive car, or going on luxury vacations, all to maintain an image. However, these choices often lead to debt and financial strain as people stretch beyond their means to match the lifestyles they see others living. The Stoics teach us that simplicity is the key to happiness. Seneca warned against the dangers of luxury when he said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." When we compare ourselves to others, we're more likely to crave things that don't truly matter: material possessions, status, or external success. Yet these things can never bring lasting happiness. True contentment comes from appreciating what you already have and living in alignment with your values. In conclusion, the Stoics remind us that the only person we should compare ourselves to is the person we were yesterday. By focusing on our own journey and letting go of the constant need for comparison, we can cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment and peace. Next, let's explore how Stoicism can help us face our fears and build the courage to take action even in the face of uncertainty. As we move forward from the discussion about comparing ourselves to others, let's now shift our focus to an equally important Stoic principle: the value of taking care of our health. In the fast-paced hustle of modern life, it's easy to neglect our health, whether physical or mental, in favor of external achievements like career success or financial gain. Stoicism, however, teaches us that good health is the foundation for everything else. Without it, no amount of success or material wealth can bring true fulfillment. Let's imagine someone who is constantly comparing their financial situation to others. They may feel pressure to upgrade their lifestyle, even if it means going into debt or sacrificing their long-term financial goals. For example, they might buy a new car when their current one is perfectly fine, or take on a larger mortgage just to keep up with friends who live in a bigger house. Over time, this constant need to compare and compete can lead to financial stress, regret, and a feeling of never measuring up. Now contrast that with someone who takes a more stoic approach. This person isn't concerned with what others are doing. They're focused on their own financial goals and personal values. They live within their means, save for the future, and make decisions based on what's important to them, not what others are doing. As a result, they experience less financial stress, more freedom, and a greater sense of satisfaction with their life. This stoic mindset allows them to live with peace of mind, free from the pressures of external competition. Stoicism also teaches us the value of gratitude. By focusing on what you already have rather than what you lack, you shift your mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of appreciating the present moment and being content with what life has given you. When you stop comparing yourself to others and start practicing gratitude, you'll find that you already have enough. True wealth comes from inner peace, not material possessions. In conclusion, the Stoics remind us that happiness doesn't come from external achievements or living up to someone else's standards. It comes from focusing on your own path, living according to your values, and finding contentment in the life you're building for yourself. By letting go of comparison and embracing gratitude, you can free yourself from the constant pressure to compete and find true fulfillment in your own journey. Now let's move on to another important Stoic lesson, the necessity of prioritizing your health. In our next section, we'll explore how neglecting your health can hold you back and how balancing work with self-care is essential to living a fulfilling life. As we transition from the importance of gratitude and self-reflection, let's now turn our attention to a crucial aspect of Stoic philosophy, the care of our health, both physical and mental. The Stoics believed that a healthy body supports a healthy mind. If we are not physically well, it becomes much harder to face life's challenges with clarity and resilience. That's why maintaining good health is not just a luxury, but a necessity for living a fulfilled life. Epictetus wisely stated, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This quote emphasizes the importance of taking care of our physical health so that we can approach life with strength and resolve, especially when things aren't going our way. By taking care of our bodies, we lay the foundation for a strong, resilient mind that can weather life's difficulties. In today's fast-paced world, many people suffer from stress, anxiety, and burnout because they neglect their mental well-being. Stoicism offers practical tools for maintaining mental health, such as practicing mindfulness, engaging in self-reflection, and focusing on what's within our control. By dedicating time to care for our mental health, whether through meditation, journaling, or simply slowing down, we can reduce stress and improve our overall sense of well-being. One key Stoic concept that applies to health is moderation. The Stoics were strong advocates for balance in all aspects of life, and that includes how we care for our bodies. You don't need extreme diets or intense workout routines to be healthy. Stoicism encourages us to find a sustainable, moderate approach to self-care. This might mean making small, consistent improvements to your diet, taking regular walks, or finding simple ways to incorporate relaxation into your daily routine. Another important aspect of Stoic philosophy is focusing on what you can control. While you may not always be able to avoid illness or injury, you can control how you respond to health challenges and the steps you take to maintain your well-being. For example, you can't control aging, but you can choose to age with grace by staying active, eating well, and continuing to engage your mind with new challenges and learning opportunities. This Stoic approach to health allows you to be proactive rather than reactive when it comes to your well-being. Let's think about how neglecting health affects financial success. Someone who works relentlessly without taking care of their health may experience short-term financial gains, but in the long run, their productivity will suffer if their health declines. Medical bills can quickly accumulate, or they may find themselves unable to work at all if they face serious health issues. On the other hand, someone who prioritizes their health is more likely to maintain consistent energy levels, focus, and resilience, leading to greater success over time. One practical way to prioritize health is by adopting Stoic practices like premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This exercise involves imagining worst-case scenarios, including health-related ones, to prepare for challenges. For example, what would happen if you continue to ignore that nagging pain or avoid regular exercise? By visualizing the potential consequences of neglecting your health, you can motivate yourself to take preventive action before it's too late. Another helpful Stoic tool is daily reflection. At the end of each day, reflect on whether you've taken steps to care for your body and mind. Did you eat nourishing food? Did you take time to rest? Did you manage your stress levels? By incorporating daily reflection, you can stay mindful of your health and make adjustments as needed, ensuring that it remains a priority in your life. In conclusion, the Stoics remind us that without good health, we cannot fully enjoy or make use of our other achievements. Taking care of our physical and mental well-being should never be neglected, as it forms the foundation for all our other endeavors. By adopting a balanced approach to self-care, staying mindful of our health, and embracing the wisdom of Stoicism, we can live stronger, more fulfilled lives. Now that we've explored how health plays such a critical role in our well-being, let's move forward and discuss how we can maintain mental clarity and focus in the face of life's challenges. As we wrap up our discussion on the importance of health, both physical and mental, it's clear that true success in life doesn't come from chasing wealth or living up to external expectations. The Stoics teach us that caring for our bodies and minds is essential to living a balanced and fulfilling life. By practicing moderation, focusing on what we can control, and taking consistent action to maintain our well-being, we set ourselves up for long-term success, both physically and mentally. Good health forms the foundation for everything else in life. Without it, we can't fully enjoy our achievements or take advantage of the opportunities that come our way. Whether it's financial success or personal growth, none of it matters if we are not in good health. Stoicism reminds us that it's not about pursuing perfection, but about making steady progress. When we prioritize our health, we give ourselves the energy, resilience, and clarity to make the most of life's challenges and opportunities. As we conclude this episode, it's evident that financial success and personal fulfillment are not about chasing wealth or trying to meet the expectations of others. True success comes from developing habits that align with Stoic principles, habits that foster self-discipline, personal growth, and a deep sense of contentment. By stopping the habits we've discussed today, such as associating wealth with happiness, blaming others, avoiding risks, and neglecting our health, we take control of our lives and set ourselves on a path toward true freedom, both financially and personally. The Stoics remind us that life is unpredictable and often beyond our control. What we can control, however, is our response to the challenges we face, and that ultimately is where our true power lies. By applying the lessons of Stoicism, focusing on personal responsibility, embracing change, and living within our means, we can create a life that is not only financially secure, but also deeply meaningful and fulfilling. Remember, the journey to financial and personal freedom is not about achieving perfection. It's about making progress. Every small step you take, whether it's cutting back on unnecessary expenses, investing in your personal growth, or taking better care of your health, brings you closer to a life of balance, peace, and true success. If you found value in this episode, please consider liking and sharing it with your friends and family. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more episodes on how Stoic philosophy can help you lead a better life. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, where we will dive deeper into the Stoic mindset and explore how to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and grace.